What's up, everybody? Today we are reacting to Music Snobs Metallica album tier list. So, um, let's just see how this goes. There's classic, excellent, good, not quite it, fucking regret, and well, I wonder what Lulu is. Anyways, without further ado, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit before we go, and let's get into it.
Metallica are one of my favorite bands. I love this band. They were my favorite band for a decade of my life.
Me too.
Huge influence on me as far as my love for music.
Same.
And how I approach music, how
Same.
I write, how I play the guitar.
Don't do that.
So, if there's one thing that I give the absolute least fucks about on this video, it is your opinions. This is the Metallica album tier list.
Great. Become the night. Let's go.
As I described in my Opeth ranking before, I do my tier list ranking as, okay, this one, then this one, then this one, right? So this is lower on the list than this one.
Okay, so
I would
it's like
say
backwards
this
from most of
album
them.
is not as good as this album if that's the order that I put them in on the same tier. Okay, let's get into it. Today's tier list names are classic, excellent, good, not quite it, fucking regret, and Lulu.
Lulu's on there.
Lulu is only on this list because it technically qualifies as music.
It's funny how it has its own tier.
This is the album equivalent of The Room. It is so bad, it is unintentionally hilarious.
Yeah, the album fucking sucks.
It is
Call it music is
so
objectively wrong.
Unfathomably terrible. It deserves its own tier.
Agreed.
For the distinct shittiness that this album is.
Very
Next
ass.
up, St. Anger.
So,
I
yeah.
can appreciate St. Anger as an honest form of artistic expression. I think it's very real. But just coming back to this years later, I still find...
And that's what I'm going to say about this. Oh my god, what a freeze frame. St. Anger was creative, but the production, Jesus.
Find it kind of difficult
Train wreck.
to continue listening to. Obviously, the snare sounds like fat, hot garbage,
Yep.
as is like one of the most classic metal memes on the internet. When I was younger, this is the first Metallica album I bought myself, so I actually kind of enjoyed it when I first listened to it.
Aw, St. Anger's your first exposure to Metallica. Oh, that's...
Most exposure
that's
I had
not
was
good.
some of S&M, a little bit of Load and Reload,
okay.
And my brother only letting me listen to this when we were driving in his car. So, you know, very minimal exposure, but I loved the band and I wanted more. Yeah, when I was a stupid kid and didn't really have a wide breadth of understanding and knowledge of music, yeah, this is freaking great. Nowadays, I'm just like, holy crap, I was fucking dumb. As you listen to more Metallica albums, you realize how not good this Metallica album is. The songs feel very arduous to get to between some of the fucking boring, weird riffs, the vocals being atrocious, and just the structure of the songs themselves is not fabulous. There's not great payoff. I will say it gives you an accurate feeling as to what the band was going through at the time, especially if you watch the documentary Some Kind of Monster. It really helps put into focus, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to watch that, but I haven't got the chance to yet.
Fucking agony to listen to. It's because the band was going through fucking agony. But I can't willingly bring myself to listen to this album anymore. Like,
Me neither.
Not unless I'm trying to like
unless it's frantic
research on something,
or Invisible
it's
Kid.
not enjoyable. Next up, Hardwired to Self-Destruct.
Okay, well, at least it's not a fucking regret. Hardwired is... It's an album. I think I agree with this placement. Let's see what he has to say.
People wanted me to do a review on this album. People were like, Mike, how much do you fucking love the new Metallica album? I think My Apocalypse was like the closest thing to being an enjoyable listen for me. The rest of it felt so fucking hard to listen to. The vocal writing is fucking laughable, both melodically and lyrically. It's reminiscent of how Joe Biden trails off at the end of his fucking speeches when he gets lost. That's what this lyric writing feels like. I will say the mix and the guitar tone are quite good. This is some of Lars's worst drum writing to date. He just progressively gets shittier and shittier as the years go on.
Yeah, Motor Breath, peak song by Lars.
You can hear that Rob Trujillo, I don't know. I'm really happy they let Rob contribute more on this album.
Yeah, that's an issue they struggled with the previous bases, like especially on Injustice for All with Newstead.
Make up for holy fuck, like, God, get the song over with. Most of these riffs felt very forced and uninspired.
Yeah, the Confusion
and
riff
even
is
the moments where it really hit were quickly subverted by, again, forced, uninspired moments. I think it's partly the riff writing with James Hetfield, but a lot of how they worked in the early days was the collaboration and also conflict between him and Lars. I think Lars has phoned the fuck out for the last decade.
Yeah, no, like,
this
Lars
does not
is
feel like a very
fucked.
organic album to me. It feels like something they just shit out because they were like, oh, we got to meet the production schedule.
No, I'm just kidding. Lars, everybody shits on him as a drummer, but I don't think he's as bad as everybody says.
Yeah, you know what? My kids could use a mansion. Next up, in the not quite it category, Death Magnetic. I liked it.
I don't know. Okay, I don't think 72 Seasons is included on this. I don't know when this was made, but I don't think 72 Seasons is included. I think Death Magnetic is a good album, personally.
This one's significantly more than Hardwired, but
Me too.
Still wouldn't give it the thumbs up on the album. I'll be honest, it actually is kind of teetering for me between a good album and a not quite it album, because I still kind of enjoy some of this
Yeah,
album
there are some pretty good
Death Magnetic
songs
was
on this
Metallica
album.
trying to find their roots again and rediscover their sound after being completely fucking turned around by St. Anger.
Yeah, St. Anger really fucked that up, didn't it?
Album, but I think that was mostly because anything that sounded remotely close to old Metallica would have made me come in my pants at that time. We were all starved. We were all blind to the fact that, you know what? Just because it's not as bad as St. Anger, that doesn't necessarily mean it's good.
I think Death Magnetic is pretty good.
For the record, The Day That Never Comes, All Nightmare Long, Suicide and Redemption might be their best instrumental track they've ever done. It's a fucking great track, arguably the best track on this album. That Was Just Your Life, the name of the first song on the album. Pretty freaking cool too, actually. It has its own reminiscentness of Enter Sandman a little bit, but with a lot more energy behind it, more thrashy than Sandman was. Primary complaint with this album is upon release, it had a loud, mega clipping, holy shit, what fucking deaf person did this master. It was so bad that when they finally released Guitar Hero Metallica, the people at Guitar Hero mastered the fucking song better than the actual mastering engineers. There was a petition online to get a Guitar Hero version of the album released. Just for the justice of how fucking bad that master was. Coming back to this album years later, it does not have the same appeal to me. Like I mentioned with Hardwired, the drum parts leave something to be desired a lot of times. There were some pretty cool riffs in there, but I wouldn't say I was completely taken with it either. This wasn't an album that I sat down and like learned all the riffs. And maybe it's because I had moved on by that time. But I don't know. It just didn't quite have that magic to me. This is not a bad album. No. It just does not quite hit the mark. Moving on to good albums.
Good. Oh, what the fuck?
This again was on the edge for me of almost in the...
Kill 'Em All is a fucking excellent album at least.
Not quite it category. This is a good album. It is a great freshman album. Especially for the time. This was opening doors into America and reinterpreting a bunch of really fucking weird music that was coming over from the UK. There are several classic metal hits on this album that are kind of defining a generation of metalheads. So why doesn't this song make the excellent tier for me? The production on this album has always been an issue for me, as has been for a shitload of metal. The tone, the performances are fucking packed with energy. It's that's why it should be excellent. It's driving. It's alive.
Those songs are so amazing.
It's subverted by the production.
Fuck the production. Who cares?
Of how fucking great this could possibly be, because the production isn't there. Imagine how much better this album could have been with better timbre. Granted, Lars still plays like a fucking dumbass.
What the fuck? Shit on Lars again.
Sounds fucking better, man. Way better guitar tone. You can hear the bass way better. Just more body all around. If it just had more body and more... But... Again, you know, I get it was DIY, so they have limitations.
Kill 'Em All's good,
Besides the production, there are several songs on this album I don't give a single fuck about. Phantom Lord, Whiplash, and Metal Militia are completely...
Metal Militia, it fucking sucks. But Phantom Lord and Whiplash are two amazing songs. What do you guys say about this?
Forgettable, in my opinion.
Forgettable.
Had me amped as hell to finally listen to that song.
I'd say Whiplash is the second most popular.
On the track listing of that CD, and then I put it in, and was instantly regretting it.
Same.
I was like, holy shit, what a massive letdown. Metal Militia is what taught me not to let the name of a song actually help me enjoy it. The name doesn't mean jack shit.
That is true.
Great name, and that song sucks. Anesthesia, wow cool, and a great metal and rock and roll timepiece is overrated.
There you
At that
go,
point,
people.
There really wasn't a bass
everybody can have an
feature on
opinion.
any rock or metal album, and I think it's really cool that they did that, and it's a fine listen, and I think it's an interesting break in the album, but it's not like the greatest fucking work of art ever made, guys.
That is true.
Come on. It's fine. It's cool, but it's not like, holy fuck, I just came out my nose. The high points of this album are high enough for me to regularly come back to it. It's a fun album. Next up, Load. Load is a much better album than it gets credit for.
It ain't better than Kill 'Em All, that's for sure.
It's not an excellent album, but it's a really good album that has a definite mood and some really good songs on it. Is this what people expected from Metallica when this album dropped?
No, it wasn't.
Absolutely not. So there is a certain level of understanding the backlash. But knowing now, several decades removed, what the sound of Metallica is as a whole, at this moment, Metallica are not just a metal band. Load and Reload are pretty much hard rock albums, and they're damn good hard rock. The production is excellent, and I actually liked a number of Kirk Hammett's solos here. I would say for me, they're some of the more expressive and memorable. Outlaw Torn's a freaking great song. Bleeding Me, Until It Sleeps, Mama Said
shit.
Ronnie is an extremely underrated song from Metallica because
underrated
it's not metal.
Or shit.
It's super southern fried rock and roll bluesy twang, which I don't even like twang. I hate fucking twang. This song kicks ass. It's fucking great. It's got a great hook on it. Massively underrated. There are a lot of great songs on this album. Not amazing songs, but great songs. Next up, Reload, which in my opinion,
I will say Reload is better than Load for me. It's more Metallica-y than Load was, in my opinion. It's closer to metal than Load was.
Opinion barely edges out Load.
No, for me it's
probably because
significant.
Of more of the energy. This one felt less depressed and dark and all sad and somber and all bitchy and cryy and shit. Reload was angrier with higher energy. Maybe even
give me fuel, give me fire, give me the outside desire.
4 songs on this album are excellent. The song Fuel is undefucking-niable. I don't care who you are. If you say you don't like the song, you're fucking lying to yourself. One of my favorite Metallica songs is Where the Wild Things Are, an incredibly underrated song. Low Man's
incredibly shit song.
Arguably the best non-metal Metallica song they've ever made. I've heard a number of people say if you take the best songs off of Load and the best songs off of Reload, you would have a freaking excellent album.
Yeah, I agree. I actually made
tend to agree,
one. I'll play it on the screen now.
Sure. The reason why these 2 albums are not higher on the lists is because the low points of these albums are pretty fucking mediocre.
Yeah,
for
Slither.
Band, this might be excusable, but for Metallica,
Slither's ass. Where the Wild Things Are is ass. Bad Seed's ass.
With badassness that we were used to, front to back, filled with just oof. This didn't bring it. And Justice for All. Well, except the bass player. Holy shit. What a...
Yeah, literally. The bass player. And Justice for All. Yeah, and Justice for All, I think, as an album, is overrated a little bit. I mean, there are some good songs on there, like Eye of the Beholder, Blackened, One Even, Harvester of Sorrow, but for the most part, it's overrated.
What a tragedy. Some people think that And Justice for All is the greatest Metallica album.
It is not.
I still don't understand that perspective for the fucking life of me.
Me neither.
But I will admit it's an excellent album. So many killer tracks on this album that I have talked about at length before. Possibly one of the greatest Metallica songs ever written. One. This is the closest that Metallica have ever gotten to being prog. Pretty interesting. So what keeps me from putting this album in the classic tier, which I'm sure at this point is triggering a bunch of below average IQ chuds? I know 2 fan favorites from this album are Short as Straw and Harvester of Sorrow.
Yeah, those are both good.
Fucking fap to those songs.
What?
And I still don't get it.
Bruh, those songs are good. What is it, bro? Like, this guy is the king of hot takes, I swear to God.
I have never really liked these songs. I've appreciated them more as I got
Harvester's
older.
Great.
But it's still just like, guys, It's just fucking boring riffs in E. You guys are loving the tone. I get that you guys love the tone, but not only timbre does music make. It's not how to properly sentence
Those
a
are good
structure,
songs, though.
but understand me, you will. It's not all about the fucking tone. And frankly, the tone's not nearly as fucking good as you think it is. Shortest Straw and Harvester of Sorrow, compositionally, are some of the most boring songs Metallica has ever written. No, timbre
That is the biggest hot take ever. Harvester of Sorrow is an amazing song. I mean, this guy said it. Where the Wild Things Are is one of his favorites.
is not a part of the composition. It's part of the arrangement. Fucking dipshit. I will give the guitar tone this. It was very groundbreaking. It was mega thick. It was actually pretty interesting getting that dialed in. But it's really
very
not
different.
that good. It's not very well defined. It is scooped to all fucking piss, which takes away most of the primary frequencies of the fucking guitar you're trying to get across and makes it less detailed. There is a more effective way to get that sound across besides dialing in that tone, which I think fucking Black Album proves, but we'll move on to
Black
that in a
Album.
second. I literally put this album in the excellent tier, and I'm already awaiting all of these fucking sad assholes in the comments trying to tell me that I said I hated the album. I never said that.
No.
It's a fucking crushing album. It's a great album. One of the greatest
It is a
metal
good album.
albums of all fucking
Just
time.
overrated a little bit.
And I like listening to it. I just don't think it's perfect. Which obviously means I hate it, clearly. Next up, Ride de la Lightning.
What? Ride the Lightning is not in classic. This list is flawed, I swear to God.
Ride the Lightning was a big step up from Kill 'Em All in terms of writing and production. It was the follow-up album to Kill 'Em All. But saying that it was a big step up is not necessarily saying that much. It still had
literally
a
just
ton
said
of
that.
energy and felt very raw, just like Kill 'Em All. But overall, it felt more developed, and the energy that was there felt more harnessed and focused and directed. The biggest thing that Metallica did on this album to separate themselves from anyone else doing shit at that time was the frickin' composition and the melodies.
Yeah.
Way more memorable. They
Ride the Lightning.
demonstrated to the world they knew how to write songs, and they were a metal band. It wasn't just like, oh, we're a bunch of hardcore punk dipshits trying to just throw fucking noise at a wall and call it a song.
Nirvana.
Fuck that. These songs were not perfect, but they were very honest, and you could tell they had a lot of heart. Call of Cthulhu is one of my favorite songs as a teenager, but I don't...
The Call of Cthulhu. Okay. I think Call of Cthulhu is probably one of Metallica's most overrated songs. And I think that's just my opinion.
think it fully had its
it
life
gets too much
breathed into
attention
it until the S&M album, and Michael Kamen was like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but again, the production is
S&M.
very rough on this album.
What do you
The high
mean?
mids,
The production is rough. What the fuck? Like, I'm getting too mad. I'm getting too mad.
on the guitars can get
This is
really
fucking
grating
weird.
sometimes. But even to my snobby ears, I love getting carried away with this album. I love the aggression. The next album on my tier list is Garage Inc.
Garage Inc. should not be on this tier list. I mean, neither should Lulu, but Garage Inc. absolutely not. And to put it above Kill 'Em All and Reload and Load, what the fuck?
Incorporated. Garage Incorporated gets left off these types of lists very often. It is
It's
a
not
cover
their music.
compilation, so, first disc is them recording from scratch a shitload of covers that they really liked and wanted to appreciate the artists that inspired them. And the second one is a collection of covers from throughout the years. They would usually toss these on B-sides and shit like that. When they started out, they would cover a shitload of the new wave of British heavy metal guys, and they wouldn't actually credit them while they were playing them. And people would think that those are Metallica songs.
No.
When they in fact weren't. If someone asked them personally after the show, they'd be like, oh yeah, no, this is from this band. But for the most part, they felt a little bad about that and wanted to give back. That's pretty cool. One of the things I loved about Load and Reload was the production, but it was missing so much of the raw thrash, pound you in.
Okay, so he's saying Load and Reload have good production. Not disagreeing with that, but he's also saying that Ride the Lightning has shitty production. How? Ride the Lightning is better than both of those albums. Kill 'Em All is better than both of those albums. Death Magnetic is not. Okay. Death Magnetic is better than Load, but not better than Reload, in my opinion. But this is this is just... Fuck, I don't even know anymore.
in the face metal attitude. And a lot of that 80s edge returned here in Garage Incorporated. That's part of what I liked about it. Except for the fact that it wasn't their songs. This was my hope for Death Magnetic, that they could capture this awesomeness again. I had this hope for years. And then it came out and I was like, and then I realized, this was Metallica's way of trying to get back to their roots, and I think they did a pretty excellent job.
I thought that was Death Magnetic's job.
Here where I'm just a little meh, but the ones that hit are fucking amazing. This is the album that introduced me to Merciful Fate, and I can't thank them enough. All right, time for the real albums.
Oh,
Master of fucking.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Master of Puppets.
Puppets, people. Master of Puppets is a masterpiece of metal.
Disagree.
Hands down. Arguably the greatest metal record ever made. While the
Ride the
production
Lightning's
is not
better.
perfect, it works fantastically well with the compositions and the sound that comes through those fucking speakers. It's just like, wow. I think the only song I don't care about on here is Damage Incorporated, and the rest are fucking awesome. Title track is one of the greatest metal songs ever written. Orion is one.
Previously, like I've said many times, the song Master Puppets is overrated because of TikTok, but Damage Inc. is the only... Damage Inc. is better than, like, most songs on that album. Whatever.
And the rest are fucking awesome. Title track is one of the greatest metal songs ever written. Orion is one of the most iconic metal instrumentals ever. You have Welcome Home, Disposable Heroes, like just all of the tracks on here kick ass. Even Damage Incorporated, which I don't care for very much, still a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it is. I don't have much to say about this album that hasn't been said 100,000 times. It has its flaws, no doubt, but with those flaws comes a very interesting personality. I'll be doing a video on Metallica similarly to the video I just did on Pink Floyd that'll dive into all of this in more detail.
Seriously.
The Black Album. Oh my god.
Really?
The Black Album is where a bunch of purists believe that Metallica sold out to the industry, while completely missing the point that this is a very honest artistic expression. A lot of metalheads felt betrayed.
The majority of the Black Album is popular songs. Enter Sandman, Sad But True, Nothing Else Matters, Wherever I May Roam, A Wolf and Man isn't really that popular, but, you know, like, there's all these songs, Don't Tread on Me, there's all these songs on the Black... I'm curious to see what he says about this.
Which is pretty fucking ignorant, if I may say so myself. This is the album that evolved metal into something that could be digestible to a larger audience, and demonstrated that metal didn't have to have shit production only. I know, it's such a curse to have something that's actually enjoyable to listen to. It's not real metal unless my ears are fucking bleeding. Name a metal band in the last 25 to 30 years, and they wouldn't be anything without this fucking album.
What?
Period. This is one of the best produced albums of all time. It sounds incredibly satisfying. It's very clear with great flow.
I still think
dynamics.
that Kill 'Em All is better than Black Album.
Off of this record with some of the best writing Metallica has ever done. It's in the top 25 greatest selling albums of all time, above Dark Side of the Moon, which shocked the hell out of me. Now, popularity does not demonstrate that something is good, but it does demonstrate its impact. There is way too much to say about this album that I'm not going to be saying right now, but when I do dive into this longer Metallica video, you'll hear about it. This last one is solely because I am extraordinarily biased.
What the
fuck? I love this album. This is my favorite Metallica album, and I would be lying if I put it any lower.
S&M? Why is that on the fucking list? Well, if they're gonna put Lulu on the list, I guess they'd put S&M, but seriously? Fucking better than Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, and Justice for All? Reload and Load? Hell, even Hardwired and Death Magnetic? What in the fuck? And it's better than
lower on the
Master of
list.
Puppets.
Now, I had people ask me to review S&M 2, and I'm not even going to put it on this list because it's a waste of fucking time. I was almost going to
So
review
was the first one?
and then I just realized I didn't have that much to say.
Hot take.
I was really just
No
disappointed.
Leaf Clover
The
is an amazing
soundstage
song,
wasn't very good.
but like
the mixing
their covers
was
of For Whom
crap,
the Bell Tolls,
especially on the kick, but I think that
or
was
Ride the
because
Lightning.
Lars didn't play the fucking kick right. The performances
When does
was
he ever? No, I'm
probably
kidding.
the sloppiest live performance I've heard from Metallica in a long time. The guitars, when harmonizing or even when double rhythming, really weren't that tight. Now contrast that to the original S&M album, which is my fucking mega fap time. The album is mixed excellently, and I have no idea how they could get a balance that well with that much shit to have to juggle. It boggles my mind. Michael Kamen, who did the orchestration, was a fucking legend. God rest his soul. If you want to hear more about my thoughts on this album, I have an entire video dedicated to specifically that, so you can check that out on your own. Either way, that's my list.
This list is the weirdest fucking list that I've ever seen anybody do. I mean, St. Anger and Lulu, understandable. Possibly Hardwired, but then you got Kill 'Em All, Load and Reload, which... and then S&M is his favorite album of all time. Music Snob, bro. What the fuck, bro? Well, if you want more reactions to either the Music Snob or any other Metallica content, let me know. Like, subscribe, and peace.